Does Oklahoma have the best defensive line in the SEC? I think so.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks again for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcast. Go check out Locked On College Basketball with Andy Patton and Isaac Shade. Watch that Amazon basketball show, getting you ready for March Madness. It's going to be fantastic. Big time things happening on the Locked On Network. So make sure you're subscribed to whichever is your favorite team every day. So which is us. Yeah. Surprised Locked On Sooners. Go check out Locked On Thunder and get with our guy Rylan Stiles as Oklahoma. The Thunder are on this incredible run in the NBA. If you want to go listen to Dallas Mavericks tiers, go check out Locked On Mavs with our guy Nick. Man, I always forget his name because I just see him as Nick Van Exit on Twitter. But Nick,
yeah.
Check out Nick. Dang, it's terrible.
But yeah.
But anyway, go check it out. A lot of good things. We're getting closer to the NBA season. So anyway, but as far as the defensive line is concerned, the Oklahoma Sooners have developed over the last couple of years a defensive line that's capable of contending in the SEC. They're a group that's gotten much, much better. You know, that DaJon Terry addition that happened in the 2023 offseason was kind of one of those under the radar additions, but we saw how impactful it was in that 2023 season. Well, then they went and added David Stone and Jayden Jackson in the 2024 recruiting class. Grayson Halton continued to develop at defensive tackle. R. Mason Thomas finally had his breakout season after being able to stay healthy. They added PJ Adebawore. They added Danny Okoye. They added Nigel Smith and Wyatt Gilmore, just a bunch of blue chip prospects. They brought in Marvin Jones Jr. So this is a defensive line that I think too deep is just absolutely stacked, Jay.
Oh, it is.
Oh, and Dominic Williams.
Oh, yeah. And Dominic Williams, who we got as a transfer from TCU, who was a freshman All-American, and still a pain in everybody. I mean, he could have gone pro this year, but decided to make one more year out of it and get himself his full senior year and ball out. But, John, I'm looking at this defensive line that Todd Bates and Miguel Chavis has been putting together with these edges and defensive linemen. It's solid. Tell me, how many 300-pounders on the defensive line do you think we have this year? Because last year, we only had 2 people over 300 pounds going into the season. It increased to, I think, 4 by the end of the season. But going into this season, how many 300-pounders do you think we have?
I'm going to say 6.
We've got 7.
Okay.
What do you think the average weight is for this team on the defensive line?
On the defensive line, 301.
Close. 300.4 is the average. And I say that because you've got 3 guys that will play most likely interior. One that most likely will play interior now, but he's still kind of tweening in Nigel Smith. He's 279. You've got Jacob Henry, who just joined the team at 281 right now, and Grayson Halton at 284. And this is all from March 1st. Numbers could have gone up because Trent Wilson told us during his interview that he's over 300 pounds and he was at 294 at weigh-in on March 1st, which now we're at St. Patrick's Day. So they've definitely eaten a lot more Uncrustables to get themselves over the line, or some, on top of that with some top ramen. Definitely was eating up the food. But John, my point is we're going into the SEC this year once again with a lot of big boys. Our year was at 23. We went 10-3. That was one thing that Todd Bates said. 22, we only had 2 guys over 300 pounds. That next year we had 7. Now, all those dudes bounced out, but this year we've done a similar thing. Last season, very few 300-pounders, and we jumped up again. And so I have expectations with Jayden Jackson and David Stone, which I'm hearing in practice, Stoney's out there cooking at 313 pounds. He's bigger, but he doesn't move like he's bigger. He still has those swift cat-like reflexes where he can ball. But one name that has been jumping out of practice lately, John, that is going to probably be a staple in the 6-man rotation that you really should have, and I think you mentioned this before, is best to have about 6 guys you can rotate with on the defensive line. Marcus Strong, the guy from Florida, Union County High School, that he kind of came in late in the cycle in 22. for the 23 class. We weren't sure. He's redshirt sophomore, but he's 6'3", 303 pounds now. They have been trying to get him over that 300 range for a bit, and John, he's there. And I'm hearing he's showing him strong hands, and he's becoming a problem. So if you add him to the rotation with Jayden Jackson, David Stone, Grayson Halton, Dominic Williams, you add into that rotation him, oh man, it's going to be some problems in the middle.
Yeah, when he got opportunities to play last year, he was a force. Like
he had 3 sacks.
Yeah. And I remember it was like 2 at the end of the Temple game?
He's at Temple or Houston. It was one of the two. Yes.
One of the two. But he was just bullying dudes. Just like, hey, I'm out here. I'm coming for blood. Like, I'm not playing around. I'm not caring what the score is. I don't care if it's the final 2 minutes of the game. I'm playing like it's the final 2 minutes of a national championship game. Like, we're coming for everything. And I love the edge that dude plays with, because he plays so physically. And so if they can get that and they can continue to develop that, yeah, the defensive tackle group is fantastic to me. Like, it's everything that you're wanting it to be. And now you've got a lot of depth for it, because you have Dominic Williams back. You're getting year 2 Jayden Jackson. You're getting Grayson Halton developing out of a year in which he had 5 sacks. Like, that was a breakout year for him. It kind of flew under the radar because R. Mason Thomas was so awesome and Jayden Jackson was so awesome that Grayson Halton had quietly a great season. And then you got Davin Sears to come back. And then you added Trent Wilson. I mean, it's a great group that Todd Bates has developed. And then that edge group on the outside is just as good. And that's a group that, listen, I love Ethan Downs, and I love the ability that he brings to the table and the consistency that he plays with. But I think your defensive end rotation has a higher ceiling moving forward, because you have R. Mason Thomas back. You added Marvin Jones Jr. You're getting Danny Okoye developed. You're getting PJ Adebawore developed. That group of 4 right there has a chance to be a significant force and really take Oklahoma's pass rush to another level.
Yeah, and the crazy part too, John, is everybody's over 250 pounds in the edge room for us right now. Taylor Wine is sitting at 269 at 6'4". So you've got some giants in PJ, who finally is over 260 pounds. That's what Brent Venables has been saying for like the last 2 years. The goal has been getting him a lot more Uncrustables and a couple peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with the Uncrustables, stack on top the peanut butter on top the peanut butter to get that kid over 260. We're there. And supposedly he's still moving quite fluidly with that size, similar to David Stone, over 313 pounds, which is big. But Danny Okoye has been the name that everybody keeps talking about. I was talking to my guy Coop over on my channel, Unfair Sports, and we're trying to figure out a comparison. And based upon the size, I'm going to be honest, and used right, Danny Okoye can be what David Ogwebu was supposed to be while he was here. Because Ogwebu was about the same, 6'3", 6'4", 250, but they kept playing him at linebacker before BV and them got here, and then they had to play him at linebacker because they were short on bodies. But he went to Houston, became an edge, did well, and is in the NFL now with the Buffalo Bills as an edge at 250. Danny Okoye is that same size. And I think Danny Okoye can be that dude if you keep him on the edge and have him just attacking. And I think that Danny's built for it right now. So edge room is exciting. And hearing is rising up, and I'm hearing that Marvin Jones Jr. is breaking all of the rumors about him and his work ethic. Sounds like he's out there busting his tail, and he is becoming a leader, and I love it.
That's what you love to hear. Like, those are the positive reports you want to get out of spring ball. You just need one of those guys to become a dude that can get you 6-7 sacks.
Yep.
To pair with R. Mason Thomas, because if you get one of those guys to do that, then you've got a pass rush duo that can really threaten teams, and they can't triple team R. Mason Thomas. And if you get your backup defensive ends and they can get you 3 to 4 sacks apiece, I mean, you've got something cooking, man. And that really minimizes your cornerback issue, right? Your cornerback question can get minimized when you have an elite pass rush. And here's hoping that Oklahoma
100%.
has that elite pass rush this year. But I do think that they have a chance at the end of 2025 to be considered the best defensive line in the SEC and potentially even in college football. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in and being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. Follow Jay at Unfair Sports. Go check out his channel, Unfair Sports, over on YouTube. You can follow me at John9Williams. You can read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. You can also follow the show at Locked On Sooners on all of your favorite social media platforms. So go follow us over there. Again, go check out the Locked On College Basketball podcast on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts with Isaac Shade and Andy Patton, getting you ready for March Madness. Again, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. But for Jay Smith, I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Boomer.
Sooner. We're dancing, y'all. We're dancing.